that happens when you are simultaneously operating in both worlds, in the material world and in the spiritual world. That's called cosmic consciousness. It is to have the witness alive and awake in sleeping, dreaming, and wakefulness. So you have the sakshi or the witness fully awake in dream state, in sleep state, and in waking state, which means your body and your mind are in deep sleep, but the witness is watching that. Your body and your mind are in the dream state, but the witness is watching that. Your body and the mind are giving a lecture or playing tennis, and the witness is watching that. So you never lose sight of the witness, no matter what. The witness is always there. This is called cosmic consciousness, the simultaneity of local and non-local awareness. Fifth state, and beyond that is the sixth state, which is called God consciousness or divine consciousness, where the witness begins to wake up even in the object of your perception. So you look at this plant or this flower, and as you look at this flower, even on a perceptual level, you see there are rainbows here, and there's sunshine, and there's earth and water and wind and space, and the whole history of creation right here in this flower. And then you go beyond that and you see there's a spirit there. There's a witness there, and the witness is the same as the witness here. So Vedanta says if you can't find God in this flower, you're not going to find God in some book of religion. God is this life-centered, present moment awareness that allows you, even perceptually, to go beyond the appearance into the reality. This is divine consciousness. You cannot escape God, no matter where you go. In fact, because this witness is everywhere, all at the same time, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, and it's right in this moment as the present moment witnessing awareness that we're in at this moment. How can you avoid it? Vedanta says spirit is not difficult to find, it's impossible to avoid. All you have to do is have your attention in the right place. Don't let your attention get distracted by the ego. Just give that up. And the Course in Miracles, of course, says give up all attack thoughts. As soon as you give up, because if you realize that the self here and the self everywhere is the same, every attack thought, no matter who it's directed against, is at yourself. So as soon as you give that up, you're right in that field of present moment awareness. And here the synchronicity accelerates to the point where you experience the miraculous. The difference between the invisible and the visible is shortened. So this is what manifestation is about. The difference between the time interval between the unmanifest and the manifest gets very shortened. So instead of calling it synchronicity or coincidence, you say it's a miracle. Beyond divine consciousness is the final stage of consciousness, which is called unity consciousness, where the spirit within merges with the spirit outside. Saint Augustine again, he says, behold, you were within me, and I outside myself, and there I searched for you. But then I found you within me, and then I found you outside me as well. You were everywhere. And when that individual spirit merges with the cosmic spirit, that state of unity consciousness is beyond our individual personality. It's beyond our skin-encapsulated ego. And in this state of consciousness, Vedanta tells us that we experience our individual body and our cosmic body as being one. Normally we don't experience that. Normally we say, this is me, and then this is everybody else. Or this is me, and that's the world. But in unity consciousness you say, this is me, and that's me, and that's me. The expression, Vedantic expression, I am that, you are that, all this is that, and that's all there is. And if you really, really, really get that, then of course there's nothing more to say. Good night, thanks for coming. In unity consciousness, the universe is experienced as our own body. It's also this experience of immortality. Rumi has a great poem about that. He says, let the waters settle and you will see stars and moon mirrored in your own being. This is the state where we go beyond the miraculous. So there's a roadmap, and that's the nice thing. The roadmap has been explored by Walt Whitman, by Emerson, by Thoreau, by all the great sages of the East, by all the great prophets, And now we are beginning to understand that not only is the roadmap has been explored, but the human nervous system changes its physiology to create those effects. You can actually study brain waves in cosmic consciousness, very different from ordinary waking state of consciousness. So I just wanted to add those words to what a great foundation you laid, Dwayne. Thank you very much again.
What we're going to do now is take a few minutes, maybe sort of dialogue, and if you have some questions or anything that you would like to ask us, speak up loud. We would like to dialogue about some of these. I just jotted down a few of the things where we really sort of overlapped. One of the people that we both admire greatly was a 12th century Sufi poet named Rumi, who wrote 12 poems a day, every day, for 12 years. And had a teacher whose name was Shams, whose most of his poetry did not survive. Deepak is putting out a beautiful CD that I heard in Greece of poetry of Rumi's, that he and several well-known people are reciting the poetry. It's just absolutely stunning and magnificent. His teacher, Sham, was said to have said, I, me, you, he, she, they, these are distinctions which do not exist in the garden of the mystics. And I like to think of my life and being in a situation such as this, or a seminar here at the Chopra Center for Wellbeing, or wherever, as a garden of mystics. The Native Americans put it a little differently. They said, no tree has branches so foolish as to fight among themselves. And when you think of a consciousness that you were speaking about, Deepak, this unity consciousness, there's a sense in which you almost have to be able to see yourself in everyone else. Isn't that kind of what you're saying? I mean, it's like, if you can't see you there, then your ego immediately becomes involved. And it's almost like you have to step back and watch yourself. One of the things that my wife and I did to really dramatically improve quality of our relationship, because sometimes we would say to each other, this doesn't sound like love. When we would find ourselves talking to each other in ways that neither one of us wanted to do. And we said, well, rather than trying to be right with each other, let's just stop and say, how can we be kind? In other words, how can we make the kind response? And I think the kind response is the unity consciousness response. And I think it's true not just in how we relate to each other as husbands and wives, or with our children, but with waiters and waitresses and flight attendants and baggage handlers and people on the freeways and so on. It's something that we haven't really grasped for ourselves, and it's a way to let this higher part of ourselves, which is where manifesting, I mean, if there was one thing that I said and that Deepak reiterated back and forth, is that manifestation does not take place from the ego. Particles are not responsible for their own creation. You've got to get over here. And getting over here is taking that stance where you see yourself in that person which you are about to attack by making them wrong, and instead saying, I don't have to have an ego here. Thank you for telling me what a jerk I am. I needed to hear that, or whatever. And letting go of that sort of attachment, if you will, that's like one of the ways to get to spirit. And when you get to spirit, manifesting becomes something that you create the intent with. Once you are out of that physical world and into the witness world. And it's something that as a people we're not really good at. It's almost like, it seems to me, as a people we have to have an enemy. Doesn't it? I mean, it's like if we have an enemy, we've got someone that we can all be opposed to. But now that we don't have any enemies, we sort of go after each other, because we're still into that. We have to create that kind of a relationship in which somebody has to be right and somebody has to be wrong.